So welcome to my channel. This is my first video that I've made, but we're going to go over the basics of audio, sound recording, and just general stuff you need to know. This first video is about how to set up your first kind of studio, the essential things you need to start recording audio to professional standard. A lot of people watching this video will probably have a different intention from the other person watching this. So you might just be a YouTuber looking to get better audio. You might be a musician, you might be wanting to start a podcast, something like that. So I'm going to try make recommendations that aren't based on anything in particular, but also do a bit of your own research as well. This is good as a kind of general idea, but also try different things, have a look. So there's 5 main things you need to think about when you're going to start recording audio. The first thing you need is a computer. So I'm just going to assume that everyone has a computer powerful enough to run a digital audio workstation. Second off, you need something to play back your audio, and I'm also just going to assume that everyone has a decent set of headphones that they have. Don't worry too much about your headphones not being top of the range, excellent headphones. You need to be able to know your headphones well and how they sound. I know that it's kind of hard to kind of wrap your head around just now, but you'll understand what I mean in the future. Just, you know how those headphones sound, so you know what songs sound good on those headphones, so you know how like your mixes should work. Third off, you're going to need an audio interface. Now there's plenty audio interfaces around that are available for fairly cheap nowadays. You don't have to break the bank. Good company to check out for audio interfaces is Focusrite. They do 1-channel interfaces, 2-channel interfaces, 4, 8, you name it. They've got interfaces with enough microphone channels for pretty much anything. I myself run the 8920. It's an 8-channel interface, but then again, just because I have that doesn't mean you have to have that. If you're just a YouTuber who wants to kind of improve on their audio, if you want to make a podcast with 2 people, maybe you don't need an 8-channel interface. Save your money, get what you need. Saying that as well, if you're going to be doing things like music, if you have the extra money, maybe it's worth investing if you know you're going to be using it. It's one of these, you just need to work out what's best for you. You've got audio interfaces. There's a cheap 2-channel interface you can get for about £80 on Amazon. I'm using pounds because I'm from the UK, but about £8, $90, something around that. Check out those. It's pretty cheap. Then again, check out interfaces, check the reviews, check what people are saying about them, and get the channels that you need and might need in the future. Don't worry about getting an 8-channel interface right now if you're not going to be using 8 microphones at one time. It's really just what you need. The majority of people might only need a 1-channel interface, So just if you're, like I say, you're a YouTuber, maybe do like streams on Twitch or something. 1-channel interface, Scarlett Solo, that'll do you fine. Now, fourth off the bat is microphones. There's hundreds of different microphones out there. So you have dynamic microphones, condenser microphones, and ribbon microphones. Now, ribbon microphones we're going to forget about now because they're kind of high end and only used for specific things, and they're not very common. So we're looking at dynamic and condenser microphones at the moment. Now, right now I'm using the SM7B. This is a dynamic microphone, and the difference between dynamic and condensers, to put it simply, condensers tend to be a bit more sensitive. They'll pick up the room a little bit better, and dynamic microphones are a bit more, I've got this pointed at my mouth, it's going to record this and pretty much nothing else in the room. It's a little bit less sensitive, but they're a bit more robust. So I've got 2 microphones here, one dynamic and one condenser. This is the Shure SM57, which I was just talking about. Pretty good stuff, it's a very diverse mic. You can use it for pretty much anything and it'll sound good. These mics tend to be used on guitars, like I said. You can use them on bass amps, you can use them on snare drums, you can even use them as vocals. The list goes on. This microphone is very diverse, very sturdy, great for live sound as well. If you're ever doing sound for a gig, you will definitely have one of these in your bag. All around good microphone, but for example, if you were going to be recording commentary or a podcast, you probably wouldn't use one of these, just because of like how they're designed. They're designed to pick up certain frequencies. Other mics can do the job better for that. For example, here I've got the Rode NT1A. Cost me around about £100, I think about 110 to be exact. Came with the microphone itself, the XLR cable, and the shock mount. You can get this off Amazon for fairly cheap. It's a really good, diverse microphone. A lot of people start with this microphone as their kind of first proper mic, just because everyone talks about it. Great mic. It's very quiet. You can do a lot with it. You know, great stuff. So check that out. You've also got hundreds of different other microphones, really. These two microphones here are honestly the two most popular microphones I've personally seen from people starting out with audio, just because they're both very dynamic. They've got a good range in what they can record well. They do their job really well. Yeah, and I mean, they're just honestly good mics. For the price as well, this cost me around £80. Like I said, this was about 110 with the kit. Yeah, so this is a condenser mic. This is dynamic. This tends to be a little bit more sensitive, picks up room tone a lot more. You know, this gets the direct sound. Yeah, and I mean, they both do the job. Cool. On a quick side note, with the condenser microphone, you might be wondering the shock mount. If you haven't seen one of these before, what you do is you actually place the microphone inside the shock mount, and it also has a pop shield covered in. This connects it to the microphone stand, and the microphone's actually suspended with these strings, so there's no rumbling. It doesn't pick up any kind of rumbling of the ground if you're moving around. And the pop filter as well. These are essential, especially for condenser microphones, because it'll pick up all the plosives. That's what you call your P's, your C's, your B's, any letters that push out air. For example, if I took off this little wind cover from a SM7 here, and I said, peanuts, you can hear the plosives. You can hear the plosives very clearly. I'm exaggerating how bad they sound because, just as an example, you can see that sounds very piss poor. Yeah, this is a little wind cover as well. Works kind of the same way as a pop shield. I personally prefer pop shields just because, I don't know, I just do it. Although these look a little nicer. Yeah, it really just depends what you've got. That is a very essential thing to have if you're recording vocals. Most microphones tend to come with a pop filter that I've bought. Some don't, some do. Dynamic microphones, sometimes you don't. You can maybe get away with it. Just really depends on your setup. But yeah, that sounds fine and dandy. Fan-fucking-tastic. This is weird talking to myself. Cool, so that's the microphone sorted. Like I say again, check out microphones, look at other ones, look at your budget, see what you can buy and see what people are using. And when you see a microphone, get a video up on YouTube of people testing it out, and just choose what you like. There's a problem with a lot of audio channels and a lot of people in the audio field that talk about certain pieces of equipment, how things are done. A lot of it comes down to personal preference. Obviously you can get your bad microphones, but for what you pay for, plus what you expect to get, you can really look and see what you can get for your budget. And I mean, what might sound great to one person might sound terrible to another, so I can't give you a definite buy this microphone or buy this interface, because I don't want to do that, because it doesn't work for certain people as well as it would for others. Instead of telling you what to buy, I'm just trying to tell you what you should be looking for when you buy. So an audio interface, you're looking at your channels. A lot of smaller interfaces, 1 or 2 channel, tend to be powered via the USB cable, which is great. My 8920, for example, that requires power, so I need to plug that in, as well as plugging it in through the USB cable. You also need to check that it's USB, Firewire or Lightning bolt. Depends if you're a Mac or Windows user. Firewire and Lightning bolt I think are just Mac. But yeah, check all that stuff out, make sure everything works, see what other people are saying about the interface. Always look at reviews, just make sure that you're not buying something that's going to be faulty. Drivers for interfaces are a big issue for a lot of things. Do your research, look into it. Check out the frequency response of some microphones as well. That'll tell you like kind of what frequencies they tend to boost a little or dim a little. So this microphone here is a little bit more bassy. It's really great for recording bass guitar, and it was designed for broadcasting, such as like on radio. You'll see this microphone on like podcasts such as Joe Rogan, shit like that, because this microphone is designed for that purpose, and it's designed to give the voice a nice tone to it. So all these microphones they always boost and dim certain frequencies a little bit. You don't need to worry about that too much though if you're just beginning. Get a good microphone within your budget that people think are good. If you can try it, give it a try. There might be like a couple studios around your area. Maybe go in and just see if you could have a shot. Probably not, but yeah. If I was to recommend a couple microphones, depending on what you're doing, the Rode NT1A and the SM57 are really good starter microphones. They're good pieces to a collection. If you do decide to pick up these mics, they do the job really well. Like I say, guitars, percussion, snare drums, anything like this mic is great. Room mics, vocals, if you've got 2, they'd be really good for like drum overheads. I use this microphone just as kind of like my mic on Discord, so like talking with friends, doing commentaries, podcasts. This mic is great, but a little bit more sensitive, so you just need to be aware of that. Now, 5th on the list is a bit of a funny one. It's essential that you need to know about it, but you don't necessarily need to buy something to help it. So it's acoustics, and your acoustics mean everything in a recording. It can really make or break a recording, so just be aware of echo in a room. Like if sometimes when you go into an empty room, for example, it sounds reverby. If you go into the bathroom, for example, and go bah, or if you clap, you're going to hear the difference it is to an acoustically treated room. Now, obviously you need to buy interfaces and microphones to start recording, but your acoustics is something you need to take into consideration, but it's not necessarily you have to go buy acoustic foam. Obviously it'd be nice to, but if you're a bit strapped for cash and you don't really feel like you can do that just yet, don't worry. You can use clothes, you can use bed sheets, couch cushions, pillows, anything soft and absorbent that'll absorb the sound wave, and that'll kind of take out some of your room tone. Obviously sometimes you don't need to get rid of room tone. If you're recording a song in a room that sounds really nice when you play it back, you might not need any acoustics. Some rooms just sound great. For example, if you go to a cathedral, there's no acoustic foam on the walls there, but there's tons of reverb, and if you listen to someone play there, it'll probably sound amazing. So yeah, check that stuff out. Obviously with acoustics as well, if you're like a voice actor, for example, you want it really dead so you can't tell where that's coming from. You can't tell where the recording is because there's no room tone, there's no reverb whatsoever. It sounds really just dead, and all you can hear is the person's voice, and that's it, nothing else. So yeah, you want a lot of acoustic treatment for that, but everything else, you know, you can always make do with something. But yeah, with those sort of things, you'll be ready to kind of take on, you'll be ready to start recording. I'm going to do more videos in the future about acoustics. I'm going to talk more about dynamic and condenser microphones in the future as well. I'm also going to talk about compressors and effects, things like that. I've got them all planned out, so if there is anything you would like me to make a video on, for example, just leave a comment down if you have a question about anything audio related, and I should be able to answer it in a video. And I'll make a video on it, and I'll try and make it as easy as possible to explain. A lot of YouTube videos you watch on audio seems to be really difficult to understand if you're just starting out, because I only started out a few years ago, and when people were using all the proper words for things, it just didn't really make sense to me. So I want to try and make things a bit simpler, a bit easier to understand for newcomers to audio, but also maybe if you've got some experience, maybe you'll be able to learn a couple things too, who knows. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.